The hell was that? Yeah, Tokusatsu vlog for the week of the 20th of August. We're doing Ninninger 25, Drive 42, and Garo Gold Storm 18. And as I've been going way longer than I've been meaning to the last few weeks, I am activating a countdown timer. So I will just time how many I do, how long I have on each one, and see if I can't beat it. So, Ninninger. This one wasn't awful, and trust me, we've had a lot of awful Ninja, both in the show and lately. And for once, it's like the last few weeks, it's kind of been subverting who actually is the focus character for the character development episode, like or screwing it up like Fuuka's was last week. Well, finally, we got a Fuuka-centered episode, and it starts off with them picking on her, of course. Actually, it's not too bad, all things considered. As previously established in the show, Fuuka does not want to be a ninja. She has no interest in the ninja thing, and she's just coasting through life because she doesn't know what to do with it. Which, when you're a teenager, is okay, so much. But you have to find out what you want to do with your life eventually, or not, and you can just work retail. But she gets scouted for. For a movie audition with a guy and his butler. The guy kind of dressed in a aristocratic fashion, and of course the monster this week is Dracula. So you think the guy who's dressed like Dracula, well, Japanese person, not exactly Dracula, but you know, through the lens of cultural differences, Dracula is actually kind of looks like what's the phrase? A Elizabethan era Elvis with a cape. I'm not even sure if I'm describing it correctly, but it's kind of, it has all these sequins sewn into it, and it's kind of shiny, and I just kept thinking Elvis, except less bell-bottom pants, and of course no hair and sunglasses that made the look. But yeah, she's scouted out of the blue when she's out with her friends, who are, I believe, the same actresses as before when her friends got thrown into the craziness of her life. And you know what? Everyone's really supportive, or actually they're more surprised that this is something Fuuka wanted to do. And, well, she wants to see if she's good at it, since, you know, they kind of, they selected her out of the blue, and they did select her out of the blue, but the thing is, Dracula's amongst them, and it's Katsumi, which is again good use of the smart one of the bunch, that realizes since Frankenstein, well, not Frankenstein, since you know my thing last week, was an Western yokai, then maybe they'll be facing more of them, so they should remember Western folklore to find the roots of them. And considering the poster kind of does this whole vampirish thing, she connects it to Dracula, which is it's a bit of a leap, but you know, if it was Katsumi that had the initial realization, and then Kinji that had a snap moment where he realized this is similar to the MO of a Western yokai, and then they had the group realization. I think that would have worked it in a bit better instead of just Katsumi being the genius again. So this is where we have a bit of a problem for me. They all infiltrate the talent audition, which is being held at a house for the weekend, I guess, for an extended audition or something. That's apparently not uncommon, I guess, if they have too many people to try out for the parts. I don't know. I'm not an actor, but I pretend to be one on my web series. The house is, of course, one of Toei's stock shooting locations. If you watched Kamen Rider O's, it was Dr. Maki's house in that show, and it's popped up infrequently in other productions. I'm blanking on a specific one to call it aside from Dr. Maki's place, but I know there have been some. recently. Actually, I think they might have used this in a previous... Yeah, they used it in Tokuger with the whole dollhouse thing. I forgot about that because it was kind of stupid, because the final battle was their final combination mech, which is a bit taller than person sized in reality, but within the framework of the show was surreal to see it in a average sized house when it's supposed to be, huge. Anyways, they infiltrate as a variety of things, except for, of course, Takaharu, who is an idiot. And you know what? It's not a bad use of him being an idiot, in that he is completely incompetent at any of the stealthier pursuits of being a ninja that are not combat-oriented. And you know what? Defining those flaws with Takaharu that aren't, infuriating, that's a better part. That gets away from the god-modding idiot hero trope, which I despise. You ever notice that so many idiot heroes are put on the Messiah pedestal, even though they are probably the worst people for that? I mean, it's like Gary Stewing, but even worse. And, after how much of this show has been focused on him inappropriately, it's something I appreciate. And it's probably why I'm kind of lenient on this episode overall. I still wouldn't care to rewatch it, but I'm not outright trashing it, especially since they also subvert one of Ninninger's other recurring gags, in that Fuuka is the first victim of the monster. Now, if you're doing a Fuuka-centered episode, you can't do that and actually, have any progress with it. It was kind of my issue last week, in that they were showing Fuuka as so superfluous to the team that this new enemy faction that is supposed to be super powerful, that is supposed to challenge them, they could defeat with only 5 of them, instead of the entire team together. So, Dracula starts doing his bit as the team go undercover. This involves another one of my hated tropes, cross-dressing. Now, if it's something that you personally do, I have nothing against that, but I don't like how it's portrayed in fiction, especially in Japanese series, because 9 times out of 10 it's comedy. It's used as it's a guy dressing in drag, this is so funny. No, it's really not. And if it fits the characters, it's okay. I mean, I think it wasn't too bad with I'm blanking on an example, but it wasn't too bad with Gaim last year, when Oren had Jonuchi do it, because it was trying to be, the message trying to be conveyed was, be secure with yourself no matter the situation and you won't falter. So he was trying to convey a message through... I have not watched that episode in over a year, so I could be completely talking out of my ass on that, but there seemed to be a point to it in-universe aside from comedy, and here... Okay, they're undercover, and it's a women's audition, so there are going to be a few guys that are going to have to dress as girls to get in that. I understand that. It's not used well. Mainly as the guys, even when, not in character, are slipping into the feminine affliction. I'm blanking on the exact term I want to use, but it's kind of a specific way of speech. Because, there are male-specific terms and there are female-specific terms in Japanese. It's that kind of inflections that don't necessarily translate cross-culturally or cross-language, and it's kind of like a different way of speaking despite meaning the same thing. And Nagi and Yakumo were the ones in drag, and they were doing that, which helped sell the bit, honestly. It's something I don't like seeing as a plot device, since I see it used so poorly so often. Anyways, Dracula starts draining the women because Apparently he gets power from it or something. I don't know. I'm honestly not that knowledgeable on Dracula lore. I watch a lot of vampire movies, but just because I watch a lot of vampire movies doesn't mean I'm fleshed out on Dracula stuff. But when they show Dracula, they fight the Dracula yokais in his monster form briefly. He's out in the sunlight, meeting... You know what? Screw it. He's out in the sunlight briefly, so Kinji figures out he is now immune to that, but he might have some other weakness. And since he seemed to be affected from trying to drain Fuuka, that there must be something he's still weak to. And from that, he figures out the garlic and has everyone around taste something with his cooking that has garlic in it, and the one that's hosting the audition is safe, as they eventually get him to eat some stuff with the garlic, which he does. He initially denies because he doesn't like pungent aromas, and I get you there, dude. But it's eventually revealed that it's the butler that originally called the auditions, and the butler did it. I both hate and love that cliche. So, yeah, they kicked Dracula's ass, and Fuuka is kind of given an idea that maybe she should look into acting as a career path. And overall, not a bad episode. There are parts in it I don't care for, but it's been better than what we've been getting lately. Trying this again. Drive. This is continuing the Medic's Ultimate / Super Evolution. It translates both ways. Choshinka. Cho usually means super, so I keep thinking of it as Super Evolution, simply from what I know about the language, but it keeps being translated differently. I don't know. And it's relating to this woman who... It's revealed that when she was 009, before she achieved her evolution, at the night of the global freeze, Medic encountered her dying and crying out for Sho, who she synchronized with, took on the form of, and then healed to obtain the compassion that allowed her to heal all of the other Roid mutes. However, her healing ability has not been without a cost to it. And it's explaining why someone with the personality of a witch or devil, essentially a very nasty person, would be the healer. And it's revealed that the corruption on all of the Roid mute programming that was inserted by Bono to make them go rampant and synchronized with all these negative emotions, essentially the darkness of humanity, that infected and corrupted Medic because the emotions she synchronized with was a positive one, or, well, neutral. You can still feel compassion and emotion towards something if you're evil. It's just that, they're usually more selfishly motivated, and as they're moving towards the series' final villain be an anarchistic chaos entity, Bono essentially, it would make sense that he would not see compassion as something to be valued. And honestly, going back to previous antagonists for Kamen Rider, compassion has been something... It's either present, but it's a tragedy when those individuals die, or it's something that is erased from them to make them sheerly evil. There's not usually levels to, I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't see complexity either, because a lot of them do get complex, but eventually the final villain either has those elements wiped from them to make them an embodiment of evil in the same vein of the great leader of Shocker, or... Yeah, I'm just completely losing my train of thought today. point is, it's usually a tragedy when this kind of thing comes down, and you're kind of trying with it in that you're making her previous conduct her fault, but you're making it so that she's changing from that, so you could see that she could have come back from that deep end, and had Bono not intervened, that maybe there could have been a de-escalation of hostilities between the Roid Mutes and humanity. Unfortunately, yeah. By healing all the Roid Mutes and the Global Freeze, she turned into the version of herself we've been familiar with, but still having that root devotion that is the clue to her super evolution. Because, she didn't actually harmonize with the woman she took the form of to achieve that. She actually harmonized with the dog. The woman's dog. The woman Medic harmonized with, Mizuzu, was attempted to be murdered by her boyfriend that was in ridiculous amounts of debt. The show says 1 million yen. That equates to, give or take, $100,000. An insane amount of money to be in debt to. Now, I've got like $12,000 of debt currently, but that's student loans, and I've been paying that off a lot lately. So, yeah, that's an excessive amount, and somehow in this plan he figured that killing their star ballet player for this company that he helps run, that he was embezzling from, because Mizuzu, the woman Medic copied, was a extremely talented ballet dancer. Okay, I take that back. There was a reason why he was trying to kill her, and that was because she found out about his embezzlement, and somehow there was something he would have gotten out of it. I'm not completely certain on his entire thought process for that. Maybe I missed a line describing it. But Shinosuke and the others figure that out and arrest him before he can attempt it again against Mizuzu after, she's been discovered. The question becomes, where the hell has she been last year? It turned oddly, and Medic was incapacitated for quite some time at the beginning of the series, so I'm curious where she's been, and that is not answered by the show. But Shinosuke figures out the dog connection and brings her to Mizuzu after Medic has been taken by Bono and experimented on to try and bring back the white, purified version of her. Except her personality is the same, meaning that it's a tip-off for the audience to tell you that Bono performed a placebo operation and didn't actually do what Medic thinks he did. So she comes on the attack to try and figure out how to evolve, and in comes Shinosuke with the dog. And when the dog sees Mizuzu sees the dog, she wakes up out of her catatonic state, and it allows her to harmonize with Medic and achieve her super evolution. Now, as I said earlier, the emotion she actually synchronized with is devotion instead of compassion. And I guess that creates a healing effect, because previously they'd said it was compassion, but I guess not. I mean, she would be compassionate when she's healing someone, their injuries and all that, but there's something that felt off about that for me when they were doing that. How Shinosuke figured out the dog connection is actually through all of the other victims. And Shinosuke is actually moving forward with helping Medic to achieve her super evolution, and thinking that solving her issue would in turn help all these other people that are falling catatonic. I don't think that would work that way, honestly. In fact, stopping Medic entirely might have done the exact same thing. So, yeah, Shinosuke, you're now the cause of, what is it now, 4, 5 super evolutions? You're literally causing the end of the world by being, not stopping your enemy's plans. What the hell, dude? We do have a face-off with Gold Drive in this, and both times he pretty much dominates, showing more of what has as abilities, and it's mainly more stealing from the others using the data he gathered previously and using all of that to achieve his own super moves, which are, oh my, ridiculously powerful. I'm wondering at this point if Chase is ever going to trigger his own evolution that will lead to them stopping them, but I'm curious now what would actually be a Golden Drive when they're fighting Golden Drive. Yeah, that could be kind of interesting, in my opinion. But yeah, Medic achieves her super evolution and then breaks down, because the tampering Banno actually did was to essentially remove her personality, make her nothing but a shell doll. Except she's still proclaiming her devotion to Heart, meaning there's something left of her outside of that, which there needed to be for that emotional resonance for her super evolution to still exist. Now we've gotten kind of a weird thing with Banno in that the Roidmute's core is what's supposed to contain the super evolution, not the body, but apparently Banno swapped that out, but it's something that's inconsistent, people. But yeah, now they've got the promised number of 4. 4 being a sign of death in Eastern mythologies. Except when Brain went to Heart about this, Heart ordered Brain to go into hiding so as to prevent Banno from achieving his goals in gathering the number for his own ends, because you got the healer on your side that can reprogram Roidmutes, you damage Heart enough without destroying his core, and then you have a second servant. So it's at this point a power battle between Banno and Heart's factions, with Drive and the rest in the middle ground. Now, last episode they asked Heart if, or is it 2 episodes ago? Either way, they asked Heart if they could ally against Banno since he's a threat to all of them, and Heart said no. I really, really hope he's regretting that decision at this point. Garo Gold Storm. This was continuing Ryuga's Shadow Trial, all while everyone else is fighting Jinga and Amelie. And yeah, they're overpowering everyone, and all hope seems lost, but because they taunted Rian by briefly shoving her into the darkness mirror, so she could learn that all of her shouts and cries of rally towards Ryuga to kind of keep him on his toes would be unheard. Yeah, that's actually what does them in. Now, I do like the direction here. There's no problems with the fight scenes or anything, but Ryuga's actor, excuse me if I don't know his name off the top of my head, I'm not good with actors' names, and he's barely brought up in the show. He is terrible at acting like a coward. I think that was the moment where I was like groaning in this, because Ryuga seems to be beaten by the Shadow Beast inside of the mirror, and, like, collapses completely on himself. Like, has an entire mental break that turns him into a total coward. And, I would probably... This would probably work better for me if it was done in the sorrow of failure, and then transitioning back to realizing it's not over yet, and that kind of realization, instead of, cowardly running away, I can't, and then transition to, I can't run away. But after we have him portraying that side, he never fully comes back from it. I should say it's like he's lost part of the resolve or solidity in the portrayal when he overcomes it. Because this really was his own version of the Shadow Trial, his challenge to become the next tier of a Makai Knight. Except instead of Goten, Garo shatters the mirror, fights off the Shadow Beast inside of it and destroys it. This is, of course, before the Shadow Mirror. But it bursts it, and here's a new form of Garo! And it's just a filter effect over the previous Makai Knight, the show armor, and to make it seem more like it's rusted. Except when it first appears, it kind of looks like the lost shine armor he wore during Yami wo Terasumono. Now, how do I know what that armor looks like if I have not watched Yami wo Terasumono? Wikipedia, people. And yeah, it kind of looks like it, but it's just no, it's just the filter effect to make the armor less shiny and seem darker. And light and darkness. I like the symbolism in it. It doesn't work for that suit though. It's like it's overly shiny in a way. So doing it is a poor contrast, and this is said by a guy who thinks the armor has too much gold on it. And most of the other Garo forms have been pretty damn awesome. I've now seen everything that has a Garo armor transformation in it, and yeah, no, this was not a good one of them. So, yeah, Jinga and Amelie are dominating everyone, again, as they're shadow-powered, they're almost about to get their goal, and out comes Ryuga. And as, Ryuga beat the Shadow Trial that technically Jinga and Amelie fell to gain the power of darkness, it's, moderated by the whole horror thing, but, Jinga's angered, and it's a final face-off for the two. And I do mean final face-off, as Jinga dies at the end of the episode. So, it takes off to the sky. Jinga's armor reverts into a more demonic horror form with wings and a tail. It's like actual, traditional demonic in there. And, they're up there. He throws Garo to the sky, and guess what Garo gets? Bat-winged cape. Yeah, he pretty much went Batman with a wolf theme on us here. And it's honestly not that bad compared to everything else. It's just that it seems odd to me, considering the other flight style we got for Garo that I felt looked a lot better. But yeah, not long, but decently paced out action for that. It's actually a pretty good highlight and very well built up to everything overall, because we've seen exchanges from them previous times, so it's like it's really building up to the climactic final battle between them, and that part works as Ryuga slams his sword into Jinga and pierces his body, which doesn't immediately purify him and purify the horror and kill the body of the host, but it's enough to keep focus on, we really should shut down Seal Rodham before he has a chance to get free. And here's the problem with this scene in the staging. They hesitate to getting to it, and, they, lose about a minute with, just staging everyone together, and then Gold walking slowly forward and hesitating about it, and, final message, and they miss it by seconds. And I'm just saying, hey, as this scene is going, hey, you really should get on sealing Rodham if you don't want it to break free. It breaks free. It expands from the sealed form all the way into its giant stone fortress form. So, once again, the Garo series ends with the heroes failing at the duty that they were charged with, stopping this entity from fully forming in reality. And you know what? I hate that, it's... I would have preferred it had the ending bit with Jinga been, you're too late, and, they didn't even have the time to attempt the sealing, instead of, them wasting time and only failing by seconds when, they could have actually been at it. That's my only big gripe with this moment. Oh, also, while Rodham is freeing itself, Jingo, with the last of his strength, shoves some type of darkness thing into Rian, which should presumably lead into the next part of the episode, because now she's unconscious, now she's in pain, and now she's likely possessed by a horror. Yeah. Aside from that bit with the ceiling, though, this is a really well-paced, really good episode, and a good culmination to everything at this point. So, it's once more another turning point in the serialized story arc for Goldstorm, which I continue to recommend. There. Okay, other cleanup stuff. Working on Halloween episodes, working on September episodes. Actually, I should be saying finishing September episodes. The YouTube uploads are progression. I've not had any copyright strikes or notifications there. I think I've edited stuff down pretty well. Everything will finally be up on Dailymotion, aside from Black and Black RX. Because of how old those videos are, I'm going to try a new cleanup method on them and some of my current videos to try and fix some of my audio issues. It probably won't work, but I'm trying to put the effort in there. At this point in time, Blip is dead. Yeah. Good riddance, honestly. I did a thing up on there last minute to kind of voice what was going on there, so yeah. Other news. I've seen the Ghost preview stuff. I don't like the horse design of the motorcycle, but I'm liking everything else. No, that's all I can think of. So, I will see you all next week for another vlog, unless I get tied up in editing, which honestly might happen. Bye.